an exit, and if there's a control, you just show your card. That's kind of how it works. So there is no kind of entrance gates where you have to beep your card or swipe it up to enter the public transportation. But overall, you have to carry it around. If you don't, you get a fine. So
Also,
that's
well,
how it
actually,
is.
in Germany, the thing that I like mostly in German's semester ticket system, that you can, when you pay for the semester, not just for the bus ticket, but when you have that semester ticket, you don't have any numbers of transit option, but you can go it like unlimited times in the city. You can use
Yeah.
any kind of transportation. Also, on top of that, they said it's not enough.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah, and Germany is a federal state. So in the state area, you can use the regional trains free. So you don't get to use the other cities' public transportation for free, but you can go those cities for free, and that's a nice thing that they do.
It depends on like the school and like what kind of agreement they have on their location. Yeah.
Also depends on the state.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of the states just collaborate.
So it's definitely good. I remember when my friends graduate, the first thing they always kind of get puzzled is how I'm going to do the traveling now. Like, should I get a bike? The car is super expensive too, and people usually go for the bike instead. And everybody gets so confused on what to do because out of nowhere you have this like a really expensive amount of thing that you have to pay monthly, around like 120 like euros per month, whereas before for almost 6 months you only paid 260 or 360, something like that. Yeah, so that's why a lot of people continue to be a student. But yeah, like, what about you guys, like Izal and Can Deniz? What do you do with your student privileges?
First of all, I think like student privileges actually come into broad categories. One is things that are useful for a student. Like in the case of Binali, he needs to commute to the school somehow. So having a student discount is really beneficial. I remember right now I have a car and I don't have any classes, so I don't actually go to the school. I'm only writing thesis, but back at the day when I was going to the school or high school or other places, I used to commute using public transportation, and I remember that being very beneficial for me. I remember having this card that was cheaper, and by the way, back in my high school days, there was a thing you can do with student tickets that you can't do with regular tickets, and that was having, like, if you are using multiple different vehicles, you can step out from one and ride the other in a certain time. Like I think 90 minutes was the time.
Yeah, now you can do it with both.
There still is.
No, I'm certain I think you can do it with everything now, but back at my day it was only for students.
You can do it with everything, yeah. But that was only for students back in the day, yeah.
Interesting.
Also, the other category of thing is the thing that a student would take advantage to. Like in Turkey, we have these museum cards, which are way cheaper than regular cards for students, like half the price, I think. You can take the card and you can visit whatever museum you want.
All around Turkey.
And
for 1 year.
Like, obviously, I don't go to museum for my school. I mean, maybe some social studies people do, but
it's funny you say that. I actually went to a museum for school.
Like I said, maybe some social studies people do, but
yes, I'm one of that.
Yeah, I also went to a museum for my studies. Yeah, go on.
But not all museums, only the museums that belongs to ministry.
Private ones or galleries doesn't include.
Private ones aren't really, like, they are galleries, not museums. That was what I was gonna say.
Yeah, there are private museums.
You know, like some rich people have all this collection and then turn it into a museum. So
no, it shouldn't be just like that. It also can be belong to the city. not to the whole state. I mean,
the point I was trying to make was
oh, things are heating up in the museum fandom.
some of these. Yeah, we should do the the alignment chart for museums, like ownership and content are two axes.
Oh my god!
Like the sandwich thing. But anyway, because it's every cool podcast mentions the sandwich pie chart these days. Not pie chart, the alignment
We are
chart
cool
these days.
too.
But anyway, my point is, we have the state decided that students would use some of other things, like the things that student needs and the things that student would like. These are two different categories, and I think the museum falls to the latter category. They're arguing these people are students, so they should, be able to go around and explore and learn about the culture, not necessarily because of their class.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of companies are like that too.
Oh, do you remember the times that eating out? For example, there are some student discounts on the food menus.
Yeah, it used to be a lot. Yeah.
Chicken döner and ayran menu is 50 kurush.
Oh, technically, there still is. Like on the order apps, there are deals that are student-only deals.
Yeah, there's when you're ordering to campus, you get discounts and such.
But you don't have to be student to get it.
Only to campus. There are things like if you prove you're a student of the app, you can do it to your home too. Like it allows it.
I used to live in campus before pandemic, so I remember the Yemek Sepeti app has a campus logo when you choose your address as campus.
I see.
By the way, do you think this counts as a student discount? Like in the school, in the campus grounds, food is generally cheaper than outside. Established brands have some shops and they have similar prices, but there's this food cafeteria place, and then there are privately owned canteens. We actually, I think, back 2 episodes ago, we talked about this briefly.
Yeah.
There are these places that are cheaper than regular places out in the outside world. Maybe, do you think that counts as a student discount? But anyway, my original point is there are things that student needs and there are things that students would want as benefits. And
yeah.
In that sense, I don't actually
we want cheap food.
Need anything as a student. But I benefit from a number of things. And I use some softwares as student versions, which are similar to paid versions.
Oh man. And good days.
I actually do need something as a student. There are some I want to say published paper repositories like Elsevier. You actually can't access them as a regular person with academic interest, but if you're a student, you can.
They ask money from you.
Regular person.
Those regular people who are interested to learn stuff.
Those people can they should either pay or they can't reach information. But if you're a student, you can go, oh yeah, I'm a student of a totally related field. Give me everything.
They can't in quotation marks.
Wink,
I definitely cannot access any research that I don't pay for. Yes.
Wink.
Do you think that the people who publish journals should eat stones? How are they gonna make money if the stuff is free? How do people?
Wait.
That's not the topic here.
I'm gonna have to stop. I'm gonna stop you right there with this. If I pay them in Turkish liras, they might as well as eat stones.
It's a sad and happy. I don't know. I feel so confused about this topic.
For our one English person listening to this, when we say are they going to eat stones, we aren't talking about the weight measurement. We are talking about actual stones.
Oh my god! I mean, if we circle back to the topic, though, in terms of software, I think these are really accessible because otherwise these softwares are not made for personal use in mind generally. So their prices are really high. my department does not suffer from this right now because SmartCat exists and SmartCat is free, and I love SmartCat. But before then,
shout out.
The cat in SmartCat is not the animal; it is computer assisted translator.
I have a smart cat.
I haven't thought it was an animal. What I thought was it was CAD, like computer aided drawing, and I thought, what does this translator person doing with a CAD software?
No. Sorry, but before that, the previous like CAD programs, the students would need them, and they would have hefty costs because they would made for like commercial use in mind.
Yeah.
They could use it while they were students, but when you're out of the door, then you're like, well, pay us $500 a month. Good luck. Have fun.
But isn't it their motivation? I mean, they let you use their products for cheaper prices at first when you're a student, and you get used to them, and you get used to do things the way that product offers you to do. So after you graduated, they say, okay, you are now and pay us.
Adobe.
They assume that, well, now you have a degree. Probably you have a money too.
I think there's something deeply unethical about this approach in terms of, like, consider the following. The reason why you are using this software is because your homeworks are given in the software.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a choice. Like,
not necessarily, but okay.
Yeah, it is necessary. They asked AI files from me previous semester. Sorry, I'm still pissed off.
I think like in engineering, there is this scientific calculator disguised as a programming language called MATLAB, which is super expensive. And I'm not a big fan. You may have noticed of MATLAB. I mean,
I have gained hints of that throughout the years. Yes, whenever you mention it.
No, but it's terrible. That's why if it wasn't terrible, I wouldn't have hated it. I'm a very reasonable person. Anyway,
you're very subtle about it, but I caught up to it.
Like I said, there is this super expensive scientific computer disguised as coding language called MATLAB, and even though our homeworks were not explicitly given in MATLAB, the way to solve the homework problems was taught in MATLAB. Because you see, in American electronical engineering textbooks, after a certain edition, they started including how to solve this problem in MATLAB parts of the textbook.
I mean, yeah, but that is the problem. Like, it doesn't matter that you can export the file as that version that is asked. The thing is, if throughout your education, like the base foundation of this field is education, and the education throughout the education, you are taught to do it this way, or this thing is accessible to you, and the minute you're out of the door,
I think you have prematurely jumped into my point, because my point was going to be the following. I was going to say, if these things are done in this way, like if homeworks and textbooks are all given around MATLAB, then the university better give me a free version of MATLAB.
It's
not a blessing. It's something that they should. Yeah, they are giving one. I'm not saying they aren't giving one. What I'm saying is they should be giving one. It's not a privilege. It's not a reward. It's something that they should be doing in order not to.
Yeah, but I mean,
if it's a part of your education, actually, it's not very different than using a laboratory for the experiments.
It's a tool, like it's the actual tool that you need.
So you don't have to, like, you can't afford those items. It's not, you can't actually afford those items, but in the university environment, you get to use those for free in Turkey, at least at some if it's not a private university.
Yeah, I do agree with that.
There is another angle to this, because you may be surprised hearing this, but most people aren't self-employed, and what happens for those people is after they graduate, they start working somewhere. If they're an electrical engineer in Turkey, statistically that place is Aselsan, and when they go there, they will find that there's an already entrenched way of doing things, and again in Aselsan that happens to be MATLAB. So the idea being here is, if the university actually does try to do things in an open source way, in a free way,
Yeah.
If they wanted to teach using free software, there's a very real chance that once you are out there, you will never be using that. So I would actually prefer.
That's kind of the problem here in Germany too, because they love using free software. That like everything free, open source is basically the main idea to use in this school, and that's pretty big challenge. Like even with design softwares as well. Like when you're a designer, the school will give you the free options rather than the actual like what's been used in the industry, like you said. So what do you do? What are you going to write to your resume? Everybody wants you to know these blah 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 softwares, and like that's already a big kind of at least a red flag for you.
Obstacle?
Yeah. Thank you. I was searching for that word.
What I think is, I don't think what happens in terms of softwares they teach in schools and the software student licenses isn't necessarily a benefit for the students, but it's more of a thing that is necessary for the education.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
It is more similar to how you need to have textbooks and blackboards in a class. You need to have these things.
I do agree that you need to have those. But the point is, in the perfect function, like you said, the things you learn in the university is the tools you use when you're employed. And like not every field has the where you go to somewhere and they provide these tools.
Most of the school doesn't have the money either.
But sometimes these things clash. Like sometimes you're taught a program in the school and you're never ever going to use it again. And there are actually better versions of this. Looking at you engineering general drawing classes.
Yeah, I'm looking at those too. By the way, they changed it a few years after we took them, by the way. Like they aren't using that silly thing anymore.
Yeah, I know. I heard about it. I think someone mentioned it, but like when we were taking it, like sometimes it is such a maddening condition because sometimes you're not even using the most up-to-date version of that.
Yeah.
That was my point.
When I was taking that drawing class, the lecturer flat out said, you're never going to use it outside the class, so just learn these functions and don't look at anything else in this program because it's not going to be worth it.
Yeah.
What is the point of that?
Statistics kind of the same.
That wasn't going to be my point. I mean, I was thinking about when I just go out for this industry, I realized like some of the companies just asked me to use the lower versions of the software to and send their, like I was designing a CAD file, a 3D model, and they asked me to send it in a lower version of that software because the company didn't want to buy the latest software
version,
they didn't want to update it, so they were using an old software. But like being in the university and after just going to sector just also affects in that way as well. Like you are getting to know many things, or maybe you get used to do stuff with the new functions. But when you go in the sector, your company cannot afford to use that software. That can be an issue as well. Like nowadays, I have a habit of exporting files in the lower versions whenever I send to some other places, because always there are always some cases that can you just drop this version to 2010,
kind of like in Word files. Yeah, like remember back in the day, do you have the Word blah 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 or Word blah blah blah?
I mean, that's kind of like I kind of understand that because that is also what some of my lecturers tell about machine translation in Turkey. Because like I said before, like the current tools are good, but before this there was this transition period where the translation bureaus would not pay for the software. Like they would just not buy it because it was so expensive in Turkish liras, and you could not afford it personally. So like the machine translation was stuck in a place where you literally could not afford it yourself. The place you worked for could not afford it. So it just didn't exist after you learned it as a student.
I just want to kind of go back what Ines said, like it's kind of like a lab, those tools that you need to function. But when you leave the academia and the school environment, especially in higher education, and you start to do it yourself, like it is really unlikely that if we take it as like a lab, can you build your own lab in your own house, like the same quality as an institution? Probably unlikely if you're not super rich. So maybe that's why, like, I can see, like, if I play the devil's advocate, like the companies might kind of put that kind of a, this is a expensive high tool intended for like those institutions, not for lay users to continue using afterwards. So
I mean,
I don't know.
Totally agree with you, because I think the whole point of doing this thing, having these very expensive to use softwares, is that companies would be using them, not people.
Yeah.
Some companies are very explicit about this. They say, like, they even have free use for personal users, but only ask your money if you are actually making money using those products. And some companies are not, they don't explicitly say this, but they know that this is happening and they are acting accordingly.
And actually, WinRAR is one of the cases.
We love you.
I think WinRAR is the actual king. And I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say they started this, but they really popularized this model. That if you allow people to use your thing freely and only really charge people who are using it and are making a lot of money, it is more easier to adapt your thing as the standard for the industry. Like, almost every corporate, like larger company in Turkey, use Microsoft Office.
Because they're wrong.
I mean, they are not wrong in the sense that, I mean, they are betting, and Microsoft in the return are betting them back that this Word document they prepared 10 years ago will still be open in the 10 years later time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's why people are using, if they are using Mac, for instance, and let me be really angry about this real quick, and they prepared their documents for 32 bits of software, they wrote such a thing, it wouldn't be working right now. It wouldn't be supported right now. So any company that betted on Mac 10 years ago is in a terrible place right now, while those who betted on Windows are happy. So,
oh my God.
But I think it's in a part responsibility of the school to keep up with that. Like, as the school people should know what the students are likely to be using once they're outside.
Yeah.
And they should be taking their decisions accordingly, instead of going like,
this one is cheap.
Oh yeah, we have this software, we had this 10 years ago, and we still know how to use this, so we are going to teach you this.
No, I completely agree with that. Like, to circle back to the like the textbook example, yes, like you need textbooks for education. Like,
you need to update them.
not only update them, but there's a difference when your lecturer picks a textbook that is suited for your class, that is ideal for your class, that is gonna teach you really well, and it's gonna be useful for you. And there's a difference between a lecturer writing a textbook, putting it as mandatory, and giving you homeworks on it. You know, like
read my book, buy my book.
That's the distinction I want to make, because I don't think the schools just go, like, companies should stop doing it and schools just go to like open source things. I think there has to be some checks and balances, though, to this kind of thing, so that the students don't learn things they are never going to learn, or they go into the business world and face a whole different kind of reality.
True. Yeah.
You know, I agree with you, but in terms of that, I think like what we would be thinking is, if a school provides a benefit for the students, like free to use software or something like that, I think what they should be looking for is to make sure that this is actually something that a student would need.
Yeah.
Instead of forcing them to do something in a certain way and saying like, oh, but it's free. Like, if they are doing this.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I just wanted to ask, like, so right now we talked about like regarding softwares, like school buys it and we use it, but we are still students, and there are still a lot of softwares give access to students. Like, have you guys did that like independently?
I was gonna very funny question, because I was actually just gonna say, and then there are also companies and institutions that do this as a sort of not necessarily virtue signaling, but they go like, as this institution, we are giving away this to the students, even though it is not mandated by the education place. I'm going to give a very extreme example. It was told to me that I never actually went there, but like my parents told me, so they are probably not lying about this. Our municipality government is actually giving away food for college students at dinner time and breakfast.
That's good.
They don't have to do this.
There's a soup stand in front of our campus bus in the mornings.
Yeah, something like that. Yes, like
even city municipality didn't. They made a discount for the water use.
Could be too. I don't know.
Yeah, like there are
I don't know.
things like that, and then I mean, obviously, students also need to drink water, but
our sources tell us. I'm drinking water right now.
It is not necessarily a need imposed on them because of the fact that they are students.
Yeah.
So I think maybe we can also talk about these things, like whether they are useful or what is their point in terms of
purpose.
Softwares that I love to use, by the way, that had nothing to do with my education. JetBrains, I love you so much. I love all your ideas. I love IntelliJ the best. Please have IntelliJ support Unity. But
you can take, like, listening music is a requisite for being student, I guess.
Yeah. Student discount Spotify.
Yes, why not?
No, there's already one, I think, right?
I don't use it anymore, but I think there still is.
Also, by the way, I would like to thank Spotify, because I have also recently came to learn that most of our listeners actually come from Spotify. So like, Spotify. What a lovely thing Spotify is. But
what a lovely thing Spotify is. Don't listen to our previous episodes.
Definitely not biased.
Yeah, like if you're a person who is enthusiastic about Spotify, last episode, don't
this
ignore
episode.
the last episode. There's no point of it. This is the one you should listen to. But anyway, there are these not necessarily related to education type of student things, and I think we should be talking about them. So do you know anything about those?
Well, I made a list of student discounts I currently use.
Ooh, go for it.
And when I look at it, most of the things are for school, but some of these are not. Like the Grammarly, Coursera, they're for school. But I just bought a computer from Apple.
I am so jealous of that Grammarly subscription.
Yeah, I learned that not every school gives it. That was really sad.
Yeah, not every school gives it. I know it firsthand.
Yeah, I was really sorry for people who doesn't get Grammarly with their school.
I know. What kind of suckers don't get it?
As Can, I use JetBrains apps for my personal needs, I guess. And I recently bought a computer from Apple, and they are giving 10% off for students. Like that's kind of school related, but not. I also use my computer for other things.
But do you think like 10% is enough? Like, you know, like does it really helpful?
It is something.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think it is helpful in that if you're a student and you are trying to convince your parents to buy you an Apple computer, you can use this 10%, but I don't think like you can actually buy a PC cheaper for the same 10% of price. You can buy a better machine.
Also, I missed it, but actual good student campaign Apple has is that they give free AirPods with their computers for students. That's really cool, but I missed it.
Because
unfortunately.
very relevant to education, AirPods.
You have to listen.
Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, without cables, like how are you gonna use your notebook with all those cables, right?
Okay, look at, you're being very unfair. By selling that AirPods, they could pay like half a year's rent in Turkey. Like,
oh yeah, fair.
Yeah, I was actually, yeah. When my friends ask me for advice on which drawing tablet they should I get an iPad? Do you suggest which one you suggest? If it's in the that AirPods campaign time, I suggest that you should buy this one, and you can sell the AirPods to make the iPad cheaper.
Smart.
Oh yeah, by the way, that's another point of the Apple discount, because I understand that they don't have it for all their products, that they just give it to some of their products.
That's true.
And I think that
computers and iPads.
But not all of the computers, right? Only certain types of computers.
I think so too. Yeah.
I think all of the computers.
Then okay, what I'm gonna say doesn't make sense anymore. I was gonna say maybe they are trying to funnel the consumers to buy a specific product so that they can produce it more and make it cheaper.
Well, I think there isn't a computer discount for Mac Pro, but that's not even for that's not consumer level.
By the way, I noticed something, and I want to.
Also, not only Apple does this. Our beloved, I'm not sure.
Beloved,
local computer company Monster also gives student discounts.
No, but Monster is the best, so I'm totally on board with that.
That did not sound biased at all.
Every day when I'm going to work, I'm going in front of their headquarters. So
Ankara branch is close to us too.
Maybe you should cut this part because it gives away my location.
I am gonna pull attention to something that I realized while we were talking about this. Almost everything we were talking about is I want to say ethereal product, but like Grammarly decides how much Grammarly is cost, and museums decide how much museum tickets cost. So it's not really at things that have intrinsic value that are discounted.
Yeah, like we don't get discount for electricity.
I mean, I don't. I certainly don't. I think there's this water discount in Istanbul for students, but like most of these things prices are arbitrarily given, is what I'm gonna say. So
that's true.
There isn't a little person at the other side of your Adobe drawing software that should be given a certain amount of paycheck in order for it to keep drawing, and the companies are subsidizing it. So they're what they are discounting are arbitrarily decided prices, is what I'm getting.
True. Not all of them, though. So like the Apple products.
Maybe they are like, this thing already doesn't have a set value. I can do whatever I want with this value. Maybe they are going like this when they are.
Well, you can say it for the whole economy. Like if you go in that route, like everything is arbitrarily. I can't say that word, but like it's kind of decided
arbitrarily.
Yes, that one.
No, but maybe what I'm trying to get at is nobody is selling apples to students cheaper.
Yeah, I think 10% is not good.
They literally are, though.
But
they were
Apple computers.
Oh yeah. Okay, that's okay. You totally got me. My whole point is not a point anymore.
No. I think there's I want to say like kind of comparison and like throwback to our previous episode about our movie examples. Just quickly, like when you have it only 4 Turkish lira discount and your movie ticket, I think 10% discount on Apple product, it feels the same. I don't feel like it's actually working, helpful, discounts or benefits for the students. I feel like it's more like, yeah, we know there are students and we want to look more good on the marketing and and so we decided to do this. So nobody can complain because we actually have it, but you actually don't really benefit.
By the way, because we love our audience so much, we have actually went to a cinema. I mean, not in the cinema, but we looked at the posters. And as it turns out, it is more expensive to be a student in weekend than a regular person in a weekday.
Yes. I mean, the problem specifically with cinema here is that the amount of discount they give is the same as the 10 years before. But the price of the base price of the tickets is like 10 times. So what is even the point anymore?
Yeah. And I would say it's the same for the Apple too.
I think, I agree with you, but I think the cinema has a bit of a history because I think there is a student discount in theaters, which are state-run in Turkey, usually.
Yeah. There are some private
or the state-run theaters have a student discount, and cinema probably implemented it as a response to that. And now they're just stuck with it. People are afraid of removing it, but they also don't want having it. So it's a bit of a ridiculous place.
Actually, that's a good point because I have no idea. Is student discount in cinemas in movie theaters, is that a thing outside Turkey? I literally have no idea.
There is, at least in Germany, there is. What I can say from my state's experience is student discount doesn't really exist. I mean, it's not a thing.
US is not the most student-friendly place in the world, I'm afraid.
Yeah, they even ask money for schools.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, because people assume that, oh, you're a student, so you pay for your school, so you must have money. So you don't need help. That's kind of the approach what I experienced. But please, our audience, feel free to correct us and give your opinion on our Twitter account.
But capitalism.
underscore in conclusion.
If you are one of the 3 people from Greece who are listening, you can tell us how Greece is doing these things.
Yeah.
Or if you come from a different country, you can say in Chile it's so and so, or in Aruba we have this. You can go all these kinds of things.
Yeah, we're happy to hear the experience of being a student.
We would welcome it. I really want to know how students are treated in Vanuatu.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I guess I get the viewpoint of that though. At that point, can I even blame the store owners? If you can afford college here, I guess you can afford this too. I can't even fault that logic.
Yeah, but the thing is, again, people take the loans. They don't really have the money. And some of them also work at the same time to pay the school. And
most of them
not some, it's most.
I think in the case of US, there's a point that you are not making, and that is in US, college education actually adds a lot to your salary. So it's not really, college isn't something people do for learning or be a more advanced type of person. They do it to have a higher paycheck. And that's why it's expensive, because what it is essentially,
at least that's what's been promised.
I mean, maybe say improving their odds at landing a higher salary. I'm not saying this for everybody. I know that there are very good academics in US, and obviously they have students who are also trying to be very good academics in US. But they aren't the reason why school prices are inflated though. I mean, they should be complaining with me about this problem instead of being angry at me.
Yeah, exactly. You pay for the school, well, you can't get $1 discount from your coffee. Dude, I'm already struggling. I'm already in this black pit of nothingness of debt.
By the way, there's a little bias we are not mentioning. We are all students of state universities, and there are private universities in Turkey, and their food isn't cheaper. In fact, their food is competitively priced to the outside.
Oh yeah.
It's like even the private university students are not just completely printing money. Most of them are like having scholarship from the university, from the state. So they're also student and they also need discounts. You cannot discriminate those students as well.
I think the point of a student discount isn't that they are in college per se. The point is that they shouldn't be employed.
Exactly.
Yeah. They can't be employed, or at least
when you are giving a student discount, what you are really trying to do is keep the students in the classes.
Exactly.
So that they wouldn't be distracted by having to being forced to work in the side and therefore having a worse result.
Yeah, free housing for students.
I mean, leading us back to the Binali's problem with having 2 hours commute. In universities, there are dormitories, and these dormitories, if they were in adequate numbers, you would be able to live in them even when you are from the same city. But in Turkey, the universities never have enough dormitories.
Yeah.
So you need to go and live in your own house, and you need to commute to school.
Or register yourself to a different city and pretend that you're living abroad, like you're actually coming from a different city. Yeah,
it's not. It's technically not illegal, so we can say it in the podcast.
Yeah, because we never say illegal things.
Just to wink, wink. I'm not from here. Wink, wink.
Oh yes, or do illegal things.
In Turkish, it's called kütük. How would you translate kütük? I don't know, like log, your family log.
Ledger,
register address.
Ledger. I don't know.
I want to translate it family log. I think family log explains what it is better.
It's actually log.
Which means where your family, like where you're born and where your family was registered.
Is logged.
Yeah.
Log. Actual translation will be log.
Like it's an actual log made of wood.
and you take your log to a different city. And when you say it in Turkey, it just really feels like you actually carry it like a log of tree. and you hop on a bus.
By the way, I really love the imagery of people dragging a log behind their backs to a different city and putting it to the log place in that city. But actually, you don't move the log, you only move your residence address.
Yeah.
I wanted to say that, but the conversation was too funny to say that.
Sorry.
In fact, Elif, let me make you even more sad. You actually can't legally move your log without a court order.
Your log moves when you get married.
Yes.
That's true.
Yeah.
I guess when you're a woman...
I consider it to be a very implicit sexism. I consider it to be very rude.
Because now you belong to a different family.
No, you belong to a different log. Pay attention. Like they notch over your name in the other log, and they bring a knife and they carve your name to the new log.
So what you're saying is you can propose by saying, "Would you join my log?"
Yes, yeah, exactly. Like, do you want to log in? Is the traditional way of saying it in Turkish, but yes.
Oh no!
Like there's this paper, you sign it up, and then you can log in whenever.
But if you want a long marriage, you better check the box that says "Stay logged in."
Yes, indeed. It's like for 2 weeks. Or all kinds of ridiculous things may happen to your marriage.
Man.
Yeah.
If you don't stay logged in.
Someone might delete your cookies.
Really related to student discounts, yes.
Yeah. But for example, overall, like I remember my friend would register themselves to a different family member who was living in a different part of the city that's been considered too far, so that they can actually apply for dormitories.
Yeah, that happened to my friend too.
That's kind of way to go around with it. Yeah,
I knew
that happens.
Yeah, people do a lot of things to keep the things they like. I feel like when you're a student, the things that you get makes so much sense, and you see that actually with that price, things still function and why they are not still the same price. Like why people have to pay more when you're a student. You can actually still do the same things, pay less, and still the system somewhat function. So it kind of creates this really weird understanding of, oh, the actual price is not the real price. And then you want to keep that. Like, it's kind of like factory prices, like how much a thing actually costs to produce versus how much it's in the market, because there's profit. So eventually when you're a student, you get that, oh, they can still make profit, but they don't have to screw people. So I'm going to use that as much as I can. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it.
In terms of, I'm sorry for interrupting you, but now that I have interrupted you in the way I did, I cannot edit this out, so I'm just going to continue. Here's the thing. The public transportation usually doesn't run on profit. And when it does run on profit, it runs on the back of the people who are working. So it's actually like, the idea being that, no, but here's the thing. It doesn't have to. Because it is public transportation. It is possible, and I don't think necessarily a bad thing to subsidize it with taxation. Because it's public transportation. That's the whole point of it. So I wouldn't necessarily call it running on profit. I would say like running sustainably is a maybe better way of putting it. Because
like it works, still works.
It works, yes. But like if it was privately owned, it wouldn't work. It works because of the taxes. So it's a little bit different. Like it's not profitable necessarily. It's just something that we are paying taxes in order to get.
Oh yeah, but the thing is, my school is going to end at the end of this year. And when I get to work, I will still have to commute. And I will still have to commute 5 days a week. And when I look at the comparison of what I will have to pay, it is frightening.
Binali, you should do what I do. You need to enroll to an open university to get student discount on transportation.
Can you like explain the open university a little bit for our listeners? Because I feel like it's a little bit Turkish concept.
By the way, no, it's not a Turkish concept. It's actually like very widespread. They don't call it open university. But there are places in America that are like that. Like what I actually don't know what they're called, but I know about them, that they exist because they send commercials to mail addresses.
I was thinking about like I just made the math, Binali did, and I enrolled to open university that it's like a distant education. It was always has been a distant education like this. I enrolled, what was the course? Web design and coding, I guess. And
that's a degree.
That way like it's just 2-year program. But like when I made the math, because like you need to pay for that university per semester. And like, for example, I pay like 400 Turkish liras per semester, but the discount amount that I have in transportation is much higher. So even though that I don't attend to any classes, or at least I don't
you don't attend classes at Open University.
Yeah, you watch videos.
Yes, but I didn't do them.
Okay, that's on you.
And I need to, like, my exams are coming, my midterms or exams are coming. So I need to at least study a little bit. Also, the program I choose, I felt similar. So I thought maybe I can study less.
Yeah.
At least for 1 year, for example. Like, I thought I need to extend this being student thing as much as possible. So I need to study it somehow. Also, after I enrolled, I can get other discounts as well, like being a member of Apple Music as a student, or like when you have that email, you can do many stuff. So
yeah, just the
it's
student
profitable.
Email.
Not profitable. It's,
I actually agree with you, because I sometimes think if I stop, like when I finish classes, the gym will be more expensive for me because I'm using a student discount on the gym. And these things really make me think, like, I want to live in a society that does this student discounting, but I also think that like it is inevitable that people will try to rig that system.
Yes. Rig the system.
Okay, but okay. The thing is, if NS is taking these classes and like if he studies his exams and passes the class, is that rigging the system? Because he is taking the education, like he's getting.
Yeah, I'm getting informed about coding.
You don't have to be a good student.
Like not even a good student, but I think there can be barriers, like in terms of what you can take, and there can be checks that if you're actually passing your classes or if you're just staying registered. But I think at the core of it, is this a negative thing that people enroll in these things to stay a student?
No,
I mean,
I don't
actually,
think so.
to support you, you can't enroll another semester if you fail your exams, or if you fail your semester, if you don't get a passing grade, you can't enroll for the second semester. You need to take first semester of, I don't know if after some time maybe they just kick you out.
Can they?
So you can't get those privileges if you are not at least somehow a passing grade student. So there is a system that controls itself in this way.
That's how they try to kind of prevent.
And it's also same for the regular universities. It's no difference.
I think, Binali, your notion abstracts the question to a meaningless level, because what we are essentially discussing here is a person who is doing open university, which by definition means doesn't have to go to the classes.
Yeah.
Is using a discounted bus ticket.
Yeah.
Which is like the whole point of having that particular discount is
to go to school.
You would be able to commute to classes easier, and he isn't commuting to classes.
Well, yeah, but through like the amount of things we have discussed throughout the episodes, like how much of them are things that you need as a student? Because most of them are not. Like I don't need to have Spotify discount because I'm a student, but I still get it.
I think what this boils down to is the people. I mean, I don't live in Istanbul, so I'm very comfortable about this, but the Istanbul people are paying NS's bus rides, and they are doing it while they believe NS is a student who needs to go to the classes.
They trust NS.
Actually, I filled my quota of being a good student years before, so I can maybe get some of the
I agree
apples.
with you too.
No, but when it comes to public transportation, I disagree with that notion, because in my state, I know for a fact that buses don't run on profit. It is made very clear on every bus you enter. So, you know what? No, like if I graduated at the end of the year and just enrolled in an open university just to have the prices down, no, I don't think I cost anyone on those buses a thing, because those people are not covering the cost of those buses, because it is nowhere near enough.
We've been kind of saying that the other people are paying, like, you know, for those public systems. But I was also thinking, it kind of reminded me, I believe, if I'm not wrong, like could be wrong, in the States, but I'm sure in Germany as well, when you're a student, you pay less taxes. Like if you're working, they cut less taxes from your income. I don't know how it is in Turkey, but like even in that level,
It's not.
That is the case.
Like even in that level, you still have benefits.
I mean, it's the case in an abstract sense, because taxation is applied to the income. So if you're a student without an income, you are not taxed for it.
And you are getting taxed according to your income. So if you're a student who's getting paid a lot, so it won't change. But
and like
maybe it's just a natural result of your saying that if you're a student, you get paid less, so you get taxed less in a way. So it's a natural result.
And like secondary taxation stays the same. Like if you go and buy something outside, the taxes remain the same. If you own a car, the car tax stays the same. You pay the same price for gas, so it really doesn't. There isn't such a thing in Turkey. Students don't get tax discounts. Usually students aren't also big earners, so that's actually not a problem. But I think, in essence, what the government type of student benefit stems from the notion that students are in a financially bad place, and in order them to remain being a students and useful to the society, they need to be supported.
Who isn't?
Overall, the society would benefit if you are supporting the medical student or the communications degree student. That's the idea. And for companies, the idea is different. Companies think that if they hook you when you're a student, there's a higher chance that you would be using their products when you graduate. I said most people aren't self-employed, so everyone's surprised, but some people are. And those people are usually bringing the softwares they are taught in school with them, and that's what they're betting on, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's why I disagree with the public transportation part of it a lot, because like if our view is as students taking the bus is pushing that cost on people who are not students, then like what is the end goal of that? Like, are we just gonna take the old people take the bus for free and beat them up for just taking the bus free? Like,
oh, my mom was so excited when she got the card.
You know, that's something I failed to get across. So I want to just say it downright. I don't think we should cut student benefits. I think we should admit that they are putting a higher cost.
How do they do it in England? Like,
And I think we should say we believe that this is a righteous cost. Like, we should be saying, yes, students are driving up the prices and it is their right to do that. I think that's the attitude we should approach. Like, we shouldn't go like, oh, we can afford students, it's fine. That's a lie.
You know, I can agree with that. I think I can agree with that, but that is an interesting point. Like the driving, because we also talk about how, in terms of companies, I'm not talking about the state one, but in terms of companies, the companies who give the student discounts, their products usually are arbitrarily priced.
Yes. Yeah.
So it is an interesting dynamic that we say that they push the price up, which I don't actually think that's much of the case for the companies. Like for the state part, I can see.
I would say that there's definitely still profit. There's still definitely a profit in the private companies when they give student discounts. For sure. For sure.
Well, I mean, yeah.
I mean, especially when they make deals with the universities, because consider this, even if they are selling. By the way, I actually used to work, the company that I used to work for was also a software distributor for some softwares. And they told me, usually they sell softwares to companies at like 70 or 80% discount. So the prices that you see aren't real. They are just things that are written, so they give a large bargaining space for the company.
I think that's a good motto to live your life by. The prices you see are not real.
Okay, then the last question. The
prices is not real.
No,
there should be
nobody's
no more question.
No, but like I'm just curious. We can cut it. I'm just curious. Will you do it? Will you register to Open University to get the discount after your graduation?
Oh, I will never cut the answer to this. This answer is gonna be on our promotional videos.
Wait, who did you ask to?
To you, Binali.
Oh, I definitely will. I'm sorry, it's the 5 times the cost. I'm not crazy.